And with us now is Florida Congressman Jared Moskowitz, who sits on the House Task Force on the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Congressman, it's always a pleasure to see you. I thank you for your time. What do you make of the findings from the Senate report?
Well, thanks, Jose. Thanks for having me. I mean, at the end of the day, it looks like what the Senate has come out with is what we've already kind of known and has been able to come out, and many of people have concluded this at home and people in the news media, which is that the protocols and procedures that day were not adequate. Decisions that were made on the ground were not made correctly, and there was human error that failed that day. That's really what the Senate report says. It talks about, no matter how much money, how many officers you throw on the ground, if you don't make the right decisions, if you don't have the right policies and procedures in place, it wouldn't matter. And so I agree with the findings that have come out in the Senate report, that quite frankly, the perimeter was too small, that the line of sight to the stage from the roof line was too close, and there should have been people positioned on that roof.
Yeah, and I mean, and it was Tom, was kind of giving us some of the details on the fact that that day the Secret Service had a problem with its own drone, had to call a 1-800 number, and I mean, it's almost comical if you think about it. That there's a need to call a 1-800 number to talk to the manufacturer about this thing when the other person had his drone up, no problems. I know that you're going to be holding your first hearing tomorrow in the House. What should we expect from that?
Well, going back to that issue, one of the questions to ask is, what are the contingency plans? They brought one drone. That's a piece of technology. Technology fails all the time. They don't have a backup. That sounds to me a little strange, right? There always should be some sort of contingency planning. We also know there was a problem with communications, right? Different radio systems and the like. And so we have to ask about those issues. We've seen communication system issues in other major emergency school shootings where different police departments are on different radio systems, right? And some of those things have gotten fixed. We got to find out, why the Secret Service and local law enforcement aren't able to communicate in real time. They had 22 seconds, right, that they identified the gentleman. That's all sometimes the time you're going to have, right? Time is of the essence. So being able to communicate in real time is very important. And obviously, we're going to talk about what protocols and procedures have they changed since both the Butler incident and now the incident in Trump International Golf Course, because that's been added to the purview of the House committee.
Hey, Congressman, I want to turn to Hurricane Helen, which is barreling towards Florida, could become a major hurricane. I know that in the years of public service, before you joined the House, you were director of, among other things, the Florida Division of Emergency Management. What are your concerns about this storm, and what do you want the folks to know?
Well, first, obviously, I'm praying for the people of the Panhandle. This storm literally is going to be super close to where Michael was, Category 5 storm many years ago that I actually was in charge of the recovery efforts there when I became the director under Governor DeSantis. But both the governor and the Division of Emergency Management in Florida have a lot of experience. The Florida Division of Emergency Management is one of the best in the country. Kevin Guthrie, the director, was my deputy at the time. He has an unbelievable amount, decades of experience dealing with this stuff. But right now, my advice to everyone is please pay attention. Heed the warnings of both the Florida Division of Emergency Management and your local emergency management director. This is a huge storm. It's very wide. There's going to be tropical storm force winds hundreds of miles from the center. So just don't look where the center is going. Most of that weather is going to be to the east of the eye wall. There's going to be all sorts of storm surge. So, if you live in a low-lying area, if you live in a mobile home, right, if you live in a flood zone, please pay attention to the information that both the Division of Emergency Management and your local emergency management director are putting out. This looks to be, like a real event, the first real hurricane that Florida is going to see this year.
Congressman Jared Moskowitz, I am very honored that you would spend time with us. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jose.
Up next, we're following breaking news overseas.